Hello everyone, this is Court from the Vanguard Forever podcast, and today I'm going to be doing a short little video on crafting for our Crafting for Noobs segment. Now, a lot of this information is going to be talked about in the podcast, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm just going to show you on the screen some of the areas that we're talking about, and I'll probably run through at least partially a quick little work order to show you how crafting actually works in the game. And most of the information from this video is going to be coming from, and the link to this will be in the show notes. It's coming from the Vanguard Vault's crafting overview. That is a little dated. I mean, it came out back when the game first came out, but all the information should be still relative. Now, when you want to be a crafter, you got to figure out what type of crafter you want to be. Well, you got artificer, blacksmith, and outfitter. And each of these three areas breaks down into two specialty fields. Artificer has carpenter and mineralogist. Blacksmith has armorsmith and weaponsmith. And outfitter has tailor and leather worker. And you got four attributes that go with crafting: problem solving, reasoning, ingenuity, and finesse. Now, problem solving is the effectiveness of your remedy actions. These include your tool, utility, and station actions used to eliminate or utilize complications. Reasoning increases the effectiveness of your utility actions. Utility actions are normal crafting abilities used in the process that require utilities to execute. Reasoning is particularly useful for raising the quality of items. And ingenuity increases the effectiveness of your station actions. Station actions are normal crafting abilities used in the process that do not require tools or utilities. Finesse increases the effectiveness of your tool actions. Tool actions are normal crafting abilities used in the process that require tools to execute. Now you have two types of skills: parent skills and process skills. You can control these as you level up, and if you see on the screen, you got your equipment tab, your skills, and your attributes. When you click on your skill tab, this shows all your skill abilities. And since Court is a blacksmith, he's got metallurgy. And you see you got the plus sign, minus signs, and a lock by most of these abilities that you can affect. If you highlight the check mark, the plus sign, if you click on that on everything, as you craft, you will spend points to increase that. Now, some levels you won't want to increase certain things over others. So you'll either lock it in if you like where it's at, or if you end up spending too many points in a certain area and you need to spend, and you've run out of points, you need to spend points to something else, well, then you can click on the minus key, and as you craft, it'll deduct points from the one that you've got the minus sign on and automatically give it to the others that you got the checkpoints on. And like I said, there's two types of skills: parent skills and process skills. Well, the parent skills are divided into refining, creating base materials, and finishing, creating completed objects. And process skills define how effective a crafter you are. There are three types of process skills: station skills, utility skills, and tool skills. These skills are set and controlled independently for both refining and finishing processes. You're never going to have enough skill points to maximize all three process skill types. So you're going to have to figure out what type of build you want to be in. And the article that I mentioned will talk about different type of builds, whether you want to be balanced, offensive or defensive. just about how aggressive you want to be in your crafting. And as you level up in your crafting, you automatically learn new actions to go with these skills, and you'll get an on-screen notification about the new one that you've learned. So you got tool skills, utility skills, and station skills. The tool skill affect tool actions. Simply any action that requires tools will be affected by this skill. Tools are non-expended items such as chisels and shears that are placed in your tool belt. Tool actions advance both quality and progress. Tool actions are important for progress since they are typically more tool steps than utility or station steps, particularly in the lower level recipes. Your utility skill affects utility actions. Simply any action that requires utilities. Utilities are expendables used during the crafting process, such as charcoal or cleaner. Utility skill is very important for quality as it has the only quality only action. The station skill affects actions that do not use a tool or utility. In general, a higher station skill will also reduce complication frequency. So how does that break down on what you're seeing on the screen here? Well, let's take under the metal refining area on the screen. On here, you got smelting tools, smelting utility, and smelting. Well, smelting is going to be your station skills for refining. The smelting utilities is going to be your skill at using utilities for the refining process, and smelting tools is for your tool skill for the refining process. And then down at the bottom you got the same thing for finishing. And if you look under the equipment tab, you will see what your overall skill is in those sections. And on attributes, once you get to level 10, every level you'll get a base pool of allocation points, and as you are leveling up through the level, you'll get a couple points throughout the level as well at set experience points thresholds. You can then go here and spend those points to increase different areas like problem solving, reasoning, ingenuity, and finesse. Some levels, and the article I linked will talk about this in depth. At certain levels you want to focus on one area more than others. So read the article to find out as you level up. If you're finding that you're having a hard time completing a work order, you're getting a lot of complications, it might be that one of these areas don't have enough points spent into them. So you may want to go and bump some points in there if you have them. If you screw up as you level up, you do get the ability to change points. Court hasn't gotten to that part because he's so low right now, and I probably should have been on my high level crafter to show that part. Now, one thing I do want to mention about your tool belt. Right now Court only has a 3-slot belt. There's bigger belts just like bags in the game that you can get, and you'll want to get as big of a bag as you can as early as you can, because you want to try to have everything in one bag, one belt. You have 3 slots up there, but when you're crafting, if there's a tool that you need and it's not in your primary bag that's got the little check mark by it, you'll have to switch over to your other belt, and that costs points when you're crafting. You only have a small amount of pool of points, and you really don't want to be wasting them switching bags back and forth. And you want to make sure when you first start out that you don't equip a tool. You want to make sure you put it into the bag itself. When you start crafting, the game will auto equip whatever tool you need as long as it's in your bag. We had a guy in the guild who was having a problem. It wasn't letting him start any recipes because it said he didn't have the stuff he needed, when in fact he did. He just had manually equipped it into his hand and it wasn't in his bag, and since it wasn't in his bag or belt, the game didn't recognize it. So just make sure that you get it all in your bags. Okay, so let's do some crafting, why don't we? Now right here you'll see that we got a finishing taskmaster. You'll have a taskmaster for both finishing and refining work orders when you want to do work orders. So you have to decide whether you want it, which area you want to work on, whether you want to work on finishing or refining. I already have some finishing work orders, so I'm just going to go with that. But when you talk to them, you want to say, I'm looking for work, and you'll see a whole list of stuff that you can craft, and they're color coded. And the ones at the top, the yellows, that's always going to be the most difficult, and the least difficult, the easiest, will be at the bottom. And I would try probably going for some of the light blues or blues just to start out with. Those are usually easy. And you can only have 3 work orders in your queue at a time. You see I currently have 2 that I'm still working on. So you want to pick 3 that you think you can complete and knock them out. Now they're broken down into sets and batches and single items. Single items, as it says, they just want you to make 1. Sets, you want to make 3 items before you can turn it in, and batches, you got to make 5 before you can turn them in.